Holguin, you spoke today about your record in front of a largely conservative group. How do you feel your message was received?
Well, I think my message is received well. It doesn't matter what part of the district I'm in, because I feel that people are, really tired of paying all of these exorbitant amount in taxes and fees, that continue to get raised on them.
You had made a comment that I think is contradictory to another comment that you made, so I want to give you an opportunity to clarify. You have long said that you don't believe in trustee form of government, you believe in a representative form of government, you believe in the will of the people, but when asked a question about the extension of the term limits for Mayor Cook, who has apparently expressed some desire to seek another term, you said that when it went before the Legislative Review Council, you wouldn't even entertain that idea. Doesn't that central idea conflict with your idea about representative government, because that takes away the abilities of the people to decide who they vote for?
No, absolutely not. Because one, it never made it onto the agenda when it came to the LRC. I mean, there was talk
because you said you wouldn't entertain the question.
Because
you wouldn't allow it.
Correct, because I wanted to specifically do what you're asking me now, is specifically go to the voters. Obviously, the majority of council didn't want it to go to the voters. I said I would entertain it if it went to the voters. Maybe I didn't make my point clear here, but when the issue came up before us, or at least before me, I said I would entertain the issue if we could consider sending it to the voters. Since that option was never discussed, and there was no will from the majority of council to move forward in extending term limits, with or without voter approval, the item really never made it onto an agenda.
So as an incumbent, what do you feel about extension of term limits?
I disagree. I think that there should be term limits, especially when you get councils like this one that are very, really love taxes and really love fees. In a span of 4 to 8 years, they can tax people out of their homes. So I absolutely support term limits, because at least if, the representative isn't adhering to the will of the people, you can cause a lot of damage.
Well, I mean, and that's where you kind of find yourself in this dichotomy, because if it's the will of the people to continually send their elected member back to a given body, isn't that their right as voters in this country?
Absolutely.
So then how can you support term limits?
And I think that, because I feel that, there should be term limits, but I do agree that people have a right to decide on whom they want. There's just a limited number of years to do that in. I feel that, we have a responsibility to the voters and to the taxpayers of this town, and I feel that term limits is a good measure, so that people don't get complacent, and used to being there.
Okay, and another question to clear up for voters. Traffic is always an issue, and voters always are complaining about this road's not getting fixed and that road's not getting fixed. I understand some roads are city responsibility, some are state. So my question is, who's not doing their job, the city or the state?
Well, it all depends who you ask. I feel that at least for me in my district, I've managed to pave a lot of streets that needed paving. I've worked on a lot of traffic issues within my district. I do have a lot of state roads that are in my district, obviously Loop 375, I-10, Socorro, Alameda. I do have a lot of state roads.
Okay, so actually most of the major arteries in your district
belong to the state.
Correct.
Okay. The difference is that as a city representative or as a city, it's the city's responsibility to always do the traffic studies for those roads. So I guess the responsibility is a shared one, because it would be the city's responsibility to do the traffic studies, forward them on to the state. Okay,
and the final question is, say when I propose to your opponent, if you're standing in front of an undecided voter in District 6, what do you tell them?
I tell them to give me an opportunity if they haven't made up their mind, to look at my record. I have consistently voted to hold the line on taxes. I have proposed a tax relief in freezing taxes for the elderly and disabled. I have a record to run on, and I've been very fiscally conservative, and I think that we should live within our means and not spend more than what we have, and give me the opportunity to continue to serve. I feel that I've done a good job in representing my constituents.
All right.